For Native American Heritage Month, we are studying Star Hartridge. He is from the Muskogee Creek Nation and raised throughout central Oklahoma. His artwork is inspired both by modern patterns but as well as mythology and culture of the Muskogee. He uses their patterns and textures throughout his dreamlike compositions. Let's look at some of the colors together. What do you see? Also look at the texture. The texture is reminiscent and inspired by Native American beading as well as artwork done on different kinds of animal hides or fabric. All right, so you need a piece of paper, and we're going to do horizontal, which means that it's going to be landscape or wide. Our subject matter is going to be a buffalo, also known as a bison. It is viewed as a symbol of honor and generosity and is considered a spiritually powerful animal. We are honoring the buffalo because it was not only a food source but provided so many other things such as tools and clothing for many Native Americans in the plains. We're going to draw a buffalo first, and we're going to do it in a way that's mainly just the outline. So I'm going to try to draw light, and we're just going to outline this buffalo. So the first thing we need to do is let's just draw a really big kind of rectangle for the middle of the buffalo. This is going to be where his shoulders are. From that rectangle, we're going to go backwards and create the back kind of leg area of the buffalo. And then we're going to do a small triangle as a flat end for the head. So these are just placeholders for our buffalo. Okay. So what we're going to do now is round this out to make it look more like a buffalo. I am going to put two lines, one here and one like this at the back to kind of be our skeleton for our legs. Now what we're going to do to make it look more like a buffalo is we're going to give him on top of the triangle kind of this fuzzy kind of area. Going to do a horn, like it's turned towards us. You can see the horn. And round that out a little more, just like that. For the top, we're going to continue that kind of bumpy woolen kind of area all the way to the edge here. And then from the neck, we're going to go down like the top of the chest of the buffalo. Now remember, if yours doesn't look like mine, that is okay. Now around this line, we're going to do a kind of funnel shape for the thick part of the leg. And then go out a little bit at the bottom for the hoof. On this side, we're going to do another hoof that's kind of up and back a little bit, so it looks like that it is behind the other one a little bit farther away from us. And we are just doing a silhouette, so I need to erase that inside line. Actually, this part needs to be poofy too. This is the really fuzzy part of the buffalo. Now, I'm going to continue this kind of curly texture back to where my beginning rectangle started. And then the buffalo is going to smooth out. So I'm going to do a smoother curved line around the back side. I'm going to smooth out this one too, as it goes up to the other leg. Now for the back leg, it bends backwards a little bit, which is why I did a line like this. And we're actually going to do two legs. We're going to do that leg and another one kind of like this one, slightly behind it. So from this rounded area, you'll go back and around, like that. And then the second leg will come from the body, kind of parallel, like that. Last thing we need is the tail. There we go. So just your buffalo, so that way it looks a little more realistic. Think about gravity, where it'd be standing. There we go. And the silhouettes are not going to have separation of certain things. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is make a horizon line and kind of divide the background shapes. So the horizon line, I'm going to do from right where about the head of the buffalo is. So you know, that goes across, touches my buffalo, and comes out the other side. And then I'm going to divide my land into stripes. So I'm going to do smaller stripes up there and bigger stripes down here. Then we need to do the sky. So I'm going to do really big clouds, so that way I'm creating an effect kind of like star ridges, but I'm not cartridges, but I'm not going to do his exact clouds. So his clouds kind of have more of a straight line and then a ridge. So for mine, I'm going to do clouds that are just really big in my sky. Pretty big lines. They're not really realistic clouds though, right? Because they're kind of big and poofy, have a definitive outline. But I am going to go in and I'm going to do kind of stripes in the clouds by having kind of this inline. Okay. After that, I'm going to do a half sun on the horizon. Just kind of make my composition feel a little more complete. And then it is up to you if you want to do stripes. So, but I'm going to do stripes that mirror the sun going throughout my composition. You do not have to do this. I'm just doing this to create more division in my space. Excellent. Take a minute to Sharpie everything, and then we'll talk about coloring afterwards. All right, so now that we have our composition, I've added a few more stripes. Let's talk about color. For coloring, he used kind of bright, almost like pop art kind of color. I want you guys to think about what colors you can use. This is also a good time to tell you that if you would like to take a picture of your artwork, how it is now, and use a digital tool, that would be a great way to get color onto your artwork. But we're going to try to use complements. Now, complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel. So when you think about the color wheel, complements live across from each other. So here's a few examples of an orange and a bluish complementing each other. And the reason we're going to do complementary colors is because they make each other stand out. So I want you to choose a main complementary color combination that you're going to use. So you could use blue and orange as your main colors. You could use yellow and purple as your main colors, or you can use red and green as your main colors. Once you choose that, maybe write it down so that way you don't forget. And I said your main colors because you might want to use other colors too, just to add some accents. But choose one, orange and blue, red and green, or yellow and purple. And I will show you at the end my digital versions that have different combinations than what I'm going to use. All right, so At this point, you should choose your colors. We will start this week and finish next week, or the next time you decide to finish the other half of this. For texture, I'm going to put this underneath of my paper, so it has more of a texture like a piece of fabric. If you have a kind of rougher carpet or something else, you can add texture that way. That part's totally optional. I just thought it'd be a cool way to kind of create a little bit of a different effect as we think about like how Star Hardridge went about thinking of his process. So our process might be something like this, or if you're doing this digitally, how can you find something that kind of makes the texture look more like a piece of fabric? So I'm going to do orange and blue. So I have lots of oranges and blues. They can vary towards almost near yellow or kind of near green. If you do green and red, that includes like pinks. You can also do like teals, so it don't have to be exactly green and red. If you do yellows and purples, there's a lot of range that go to like more of a burgundy color or an orangey color. But in general, choose one of these that you're gonna stick with. So the first thing I'm gonna start with is my buffalo. And I'm going to make my buffalo, actually I'm going to kind of piece my buffalo so that way there's different sections of it, and then do different kinds of blues. You can also do, actually no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fade my buffalo from one blue to another. So I'm using the side of my pencil. If you're doing a texture, that's the best way to get that texture. If you're not doing a texture, that's okay too. Just work on big areas of color that are even, kind of like that pop art looking quality that he has to his work. I'm going to speed this up a little bit so that way this doesn't take forever watching me, but I'm going to just do my buffalo today, and then on the next video I'll show you the rest of it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and say this is the halfway point. Next time we're gonna finish the rest of the blue and then talk about the background.